lens cap on again?
No, didn't have the sound on. Shut up and pound.
Please come to order.
If it gets at the church's table,
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. Okay, I'm trying something new here. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to just press the little button. And I'll press it again. Okay, I'm getting there. It's just, 1%. If I can get things better by 1% every day, I'm good.
Depends on what.
Okay, you got me in focus. I got it. Doing the meeting. Good morning.
Good
morning. Okay, I heard lots of energy, so we're good there. Welcome to TMG Dayton, meeting number 286. We're going to follow our standard agenda. For those of you who don't remember what the standard agenda is, first we do our good morning and we find out if we have any new members or visitors. Then we talk about items that are news related. And then we do freebies wanted for sale. If you brought stuff in you don't want anymore and it's for free, you put it on the table and I make sure people know about it. If you want stuff and you don't have it, you're looking for something, you let us know. For sale is you got something, you want money for it, and you're looking for somebody to buy it. Then we do our help desk, then we do our raffle, and then we do our meeting intermission. After the meeting intermission, we do main presentation, and in the past we've also done a small group breakout. But we haven't done that for a couple months. We're sort of rethinking that whole concept. Okay. So we're going to do the welcome. So, or it's also known as the embarrassment. Good morning, Ray.
Hi.
Would you mind standing up and just, what I'd like you to do is tell me what kind of things you use your Macintosh for, if you have a Mac, and what kind of things you'd like to use it for, but you don't know how to do. Ooh, like it all.
Hi, my name's Ray. I'm Nick's daughter. I'm a graphic designer, so I use my Mac for basically creativity. And in the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite is the software platform that I'm in. You don't know what you don't know, so I don't really know how to answer the other question. I guess you'll just kind of open my eyes to all the things that I wasn't aware of.
Okay. Very good. So, at the break, people will come up and say hello.
Okay.
Okay. That's good.
Okay.
If they try to borrow money, no. Okay.
I'll
So
send it
you're all on
this
notice.
way.
I want you to engage in passion. Something to think about. You brought up a very good point, and that is sometimes we don't know that we don't know. So, paradigm that I want you to put into your head. Knowledge. What we know. Think of a balloon. We start out, we've got a balloon. The stuff we know is the air in the balloon. As the balloon gets bigger, oh wow, great, we know more and more stuff. But the perimeter of the balloon, the outer surface, as we learn more, we discover there's these other things that we sort of know they exist, but we don't really know them. So the boundary between all knowledge and what we know gets bigger. This is why when you talk to a real expert in a field, they always seem so uncertain because their knowledge is big enough that they know that there's all this other stuff they don't know. If somebody's got a very small balloon, they'll say, oh, well, do that. That's the only choice. Okay, so just be aware. People who are very certain, usually a small amount of knowledge. People who've got a lot of knowledge, they tend to be a little more uncertain. So with that said, okay, I think we're done with the welcome. News items. Does anybody in the crowd have something they want to share with the other members for news? No one's going to buy something. You're all not being helpful today. Okay, so what I'm going to do is bring up my little news notes. And yeah, I know, cut me some slack. I'm trying the PowerPoint for a change today, just to see if I can keep myself... Okay, so a couple news items. Number one, bottom of the list. If you use Google Chrome, update it. As soon as you get a chance, update it. They found a major vulnerability in Google Chrome, and they pushed out this is just for Macs, and they pushed out the update. Everybody knows how to update Google Chrome?
No. Download a new one.
See,
No?
I sound like I'm disappointed, but I'm really not. I was looking for the no. All right, so I just launched Google Chrome. Up on the menu bar, right next to that little black apple is Google Chrome. You go to About Google Chrome, that first thing, and it will start to look and see if it's up to date. If it isn't, it'll tell you that it's bringing in the update. If it's not bringing in the update, then you got to go to www.google.com and download a new copy.
Bill,
Yeah.
what do you do if your computer's too old to have the latest one? Every time I try an update, it says, sorry.
If you're running, what kind of Mac are you running? Or is it a PC?
Mac.
Okay. What year?
One's a Lion and one's the next step up.
Okay. Now, Mark Georges is going to get upset with me for saying this. And Rick Cartwright, whoever Rick is probably going to frown at me too. What you need to do is to put a different operating system on your computer. You need to put Linux, a flavor of Linux on your computer. Okay? My two favorite distros that work on Macintosh very well. Linux Mint, okay, or Light Linux. Okay.
The Linux user group meets the second Wednesday of each.
Okay, I did form a Linux user group several years ago. The problem is, none of them would come out of their mom's basement to a meeting. Okay, so if you're interested in Linux, we can do that, but just not here.
Now you just suggested I get into it.
Yeah, no, what's he do?
Those are the ones my wife uses.
No, Linux is real easy.
Okay, let's go on.
Our former membership chairman, Tom Kurtner, is currently using Linux on one of his older computers. Yes.
Talking about PPC, Macs for Linux.
There are some flavors you can do of Power PCs. Yeah, there's still some flavors of Linux. In that case, I would tell you to look for the Power PC distribution of Ubuntu Mate, M-A-T-E. Okay? If it's an Intel Mac, then you got a lot more choices. All right, anyway, so yeah, I'm looking, okay, I better stop talking about Linux and get on to the other stuff.
Should I turn the camera back on now?
Oh, come on now. All right, so anyway, so that's the number one. If you're using Google Chrome on your Mac, update it. There's a fairly substantial rumor that there's going to be a new iPad coming out priced about $329, and it's going to have a headphone jack, and it's going to have the Touch ID. So, you know, again, these are rumors, but they're pretty certain about that. I know we don't do politics here, but this one I just had to, I couldn't help myself. U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren wants to break up the tech companies The only reason I'm bringing it up is she specifically was focused on Apple Computer. She thought that Apple Computer, which it isn't an Apple Computer anymore, it's just Apple, is too big and needs to be broken up. Okay? She doesn't think they should have the app stores. She doesn't think they should be selling music through iTunes. They shouldn't be doing movies. They shouldn't be doing any of that stuff that generates buku amounts of money. IBM she's okay with. Google she's okay with. Microsoft she's okay with. But Apple, no. Okay. Moving right along, up at the very top, this was stuff from Apple. And it was just two things that made me smile. The first one was Apple Music. That's their selling streaming music. They're the only major streaming service that is not appealing a royalty increase for songwriters. Okay? You know, you write a song, it gets on the radio, you get royalties from it, right? Well, all of the other streaming services, you know, Amazon, Google, et cetera, they don't want to pay these people extra money. Even though the European Union has said, yeah, no, you were cooking the books, you need to pay. Apple's the only one that said, yeah, we're okay, we're fine with it. The other thing they're doing is, Apple has hired artists to rework the cover art for thousands of classic music albums that they sell on the iTunes store. And in some cases, they're going back to the original artists. They're not just buying, you know, some 20-something that, you know, has got the loft in, you know, the X-Lax building in Brooklyn. They're actually going back to the people who did the stuff originally. Okay? And I thought that was sort of neat, because that, you know, anybody can just, you know, okay, here's $5, make the album cover look better. But instead, they're doing the extra mile. So that made me feel good that maybe, just maybe, Apple is not turning into, you know, evil corporation. Okay. So
Did you
those were
see
my
where
items.
President Trump renamed Tim Cook?
Tim Apple, yeah. Okay.
If you're doing your tweets, your Instagram, and all that other stuff from a PC, you don't have all the emojis that you get if you're using an Apple device. Emojis are those funny-looking little picture things. Makes me wonder why we even bothered to develop an alphabet. We could still be doing the hieroglyphics, and the kanji, and all the other. Okay. Anyway, so in one of the president's tweets, he had Tim Cook's name, Tim. And he meant to have the emoji for Apple, but it just came out as a funny-looking squizzle and Apple, as if Tim's name was Tim Apple. So now, was it Instagram and what else he
No, this is actually at a meeting.
Huh?
Yeah.
This is at a meeting. He was sitting right next to
It
him.
was on the
And he
news.
called,
He called him Tim Apple.
I didn't hear that for him. But you know, okay.
He could be called worse.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay, so anyway, so what he did was on Facebook and on Instagram, all the social media sites where he has a public account, you know, representing him as president of Apple Corp. He's changed his name to just Tim Apple. So I guess maybe we should just call him that from now on. Does that work for
Good
you?
marketing tool.
I've got a piece of news, if
Okay.
you're still in news.
Thank you.
If you have an Apple TV and you also use Spectrum TV, Spectrum has released a Spectrum app that will run on your Apple TV. So you can actually stream Spectrum TV through your Apple TV, which means you can get rid of a cable box and quit paying for that cable box. So I spent about a month streaming through the Apple TV using the Spectrum app. Worked fine for me, so I took that cable box back to Apple Spectrum.
Did they take it back?
Oh yeah.
They wouldn't take mine back.
Would I tell you to throw it away?
No, they said that that's part of the package and they would not take it back.
That ain't even flinch. I told the guy, I said, I'm streaming with your Spectrum app, and he said,
I
okay.
did the same thing, but I didn't have the same
Okay.
results.
Yeah.
Just different
So you
salesman.
thumb one thumbs up or
Yeah.
two?
Go to a different.
I'd give it, about a 7/8
Does
thumb
it
up.
save you money?
Well, about $8 or $9 a month, whatever you're paying for a box.
Worry about cable because it's
Okay.
not there.
William.
Speaking of news, I wonder which websites you recommend is the best one for most of our members. I use Apple Insider in case they look at Mac
rumors.
Mac rumors. Are those the two best ones that are left now? I wonder what others are
Backstory is
using.
amazing.
You know, Apple Insider seems to be the best one. All this stuff you told me I already knew.
PC Magazine, their website, CNET.
Go to our webpage. Go to resources.
Okay.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so we're going to go to TMG Dayton.
Good, good.
.org.
I like Mac
Resources.
And we
Right
go
there.
to resources. Hello, come on. Okay.
And there's a list of them under Macintosh News. Mac Life, Mac World, Mac Observer, Mac Rumors.
Mac in Touch, Mac Surfer, Accelerate Your Mac. Yeah.
I like Mac Forums, which is mac-forums.com. It's an older group of guys. They're very knowledgeable. I like the way they police things. They don't criticize you, but they will shut down somebody that gets, out of hand. I like that. I don't like being, Mac Rumors which got great information, but you better stay on the right pages.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I agree with you. Okay, and there's another one, and for the life of me, I can't remember them. They're the ones that got Infinite Loop is the Apple blog on their oh, I didn't do that. Hold on a second. This is why they gave us search engines. Infinite Loop. All right. Okay, we're going to go back to the other one. We're just going to do Apple and News, throw it into the search engine. Oh, yeah, let me try this. Hold on a second. So I'm firing up Safari, and my bookmarks are, just ignore that one. News. No, that's regular news. Let me try Apple. Dang. I cleaned all my bookmarks out. It'll come to me eventually. They're a well-known technology website for purveying news. Engadget is one of their other blogs.
You're not taking a wire, are you?
Sorry, I'm having a senior moment. Okay, so with that said, anybody else have any other items they want to do for news, going once, going twice? Okay, I'm going to say we're done with news. Let's move on to freebies wanted and for sale. We'll do for sale first. Does anyone, like at the second table on the end, have stuff they brought in for sale? Okay.
Besides my regular bag, I've got 3 items of particular interest. If anybody needs a wireless router, got Airport Extreme. And anybody has any interest in a version 1 watch. And then third, and not least, I have access to a 2008 Mac Pro with a 27-inch screen, a keyboard, mouse. If you're interested in it, it's got like 16 gigs of RAM. It's pretty good. But if nobody has any interest in it or wants to talk to me about it, I'd be happy to talk to them about it. Great.
Okay. So we're not talking the trash can. We're talking the cheese
We're
grater.
talking cheese grater. It's a 4.1 version.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Manly men, manly graphic designers would carry these things with pride. And you can put Linux on it. Okay.
I just talked to Rick about doing a presentation about how to install Mojave on older Mac.
Oh, that's right, because you can put in the metal graphic cards.
Yep.
Metal is the software technology of graphics technology. So if you've got the right cards in it, you can run Mojave on something. Oh, cool. All righty. Anybody else with things that they brought in that they're... Is anybody looking for older stuff?
Is any of that stuff still over there from the, that's on that table behind the
There's a
donuts?
t-shirt and the coloring.
That stuff's freebies.
Yeah. On the freebie table, we have one O'Reilly webcam cover. You stick this on your little iMac screen and you now have a shutter that you can make sure, physical shutter. You don't have to use that duct tape and the piece of paper anymore. We have an O'Reilly Animals coloring book. You gotta keep them busy. And we have a lovely, these are freebies, folks. Okay, those are Bearcats. Okay, Bearcats.
Make night shirts.
And a book. D-Link and the other thing, they go with me. Okay, anybody else have anything else? Going once, going twice, going third time? So, we have those freebies over there. Dan has the various things, and you see him at the break, he'll discuss prices with you. And I think we've got that covered. So, next thing, the dreaded help desk. Yes, Mr. Howe.
Ray and I have had come into a conundrum.
Uh-oh.
Thumb drive, flash drive. Trying to install High Sierra on a thumb drive.
Mm-hmm.
Takes forever. Sometimes it'll start, sometimes it won't. Went to a SanDisk brand, starts right up.
Mm-hmm.
Other brands, I've tried other brands, won't work, won't boot up. If it boots up, takes several hours. Everything's in minutes when you check on something. Any idea what's going on?
It has to do with the proprietary interface that SanDisk uses.
Okay.
They put stuff into their flash drives. They're also called thumb drives, USB drives, or geek whistles. Okay, whistle, it's like a whistle on the land. Okay. They do something special that nobody else does, okay? And it works really well with Apple technology. However, if you were going to want to work with some other unnamed operating system, okay, and you wanted to use a program such as Etcher to take that ISO image and slap it onto that flash drive, again, some unnamed operating system. SanDisk, they don't seem to work very well.
Okay.
But if you've got some cheap Chinese thing, right on.
Okay, so if you want to create a startup disk on a thumb drive, use the SanDisk.
Correct.
The other one's PNY, everybody, nothing else works.
Acorn, they're not
Okay.
so good.
So,
However, if you're doing a Hackintosh, in other words, you're taking something that was not produced by Apple, and you want to put a Mac OS on it.
okay.
Hackintosh, you want to be using not SanDisk.
Okay.
Okay.
That answers my question, because anything that I got from SanDisk work, whether it's a whistle size or one of these little stubby guys.
Yeah.
So that answers my question.
And I'm trying to remember who bought Lexar.
Lexar.
That's all right.
Was it Crucial bought them? Okay, anyway, but maybe it was Sam. Okay, I'm just going to drop it because until I get the facts straight in my head. But there's some weird stuff where Lexar used to be work, but now it doesn't. So, I'll just leave that there.
Great, thanks. That answers-
Okay, so that was the conundrum up in the front. Actually, it was more of an educational, informational moment.
So anybody here wants to create a startup disk on a thumb drive, use a
Right.
SanDisk.
Okay. Yes, Dick?
I've got an iPhone picture question that I thought I was able to take the pictures from my iPhone and put it on a thumb drive or put it on my computer or something like this.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I tried it, I didn't get anything. I got just a couple of pictures and there's a whole bunch more on there. Anyone could give me some help with that, I would appreciate it.
Okay. Let me ask a few other little questions. Okay. What model of iPhone is it?
6.
Okay, iPhone 6. Okay, so that uses the lightning cables?
Uh-huh.
Okay. When you are taking your photos off of the iPhone, you're making copies, right?
Yeah,
Okay, making copies.
or just taking them off.
Are you doing that electronically, like with an AirDrop? Or are you emailing them to yourself? What's the process you're using?
Direct wire.
Ah, okay, you're tethering the iPhone to an iMac.
Mhm.
Okay. Do you use Photos, the program Photos, on your computer? Or are you using iPhoto? What do you use to hold your
I
photos?
think I have iPhoto.
iPhoto. Okay.
I think.
What version operating system you
Yeah, I put it won't work on it, over operating.
using? Yeah, is it this computer?
Sierra.
Okay,
Sierra.
Sierra.
Okay, he's
So that
right,
would be iPhoto.
right on that edge where iPhoto is still functioning pretty good. Okay, so when you plug the cable into your iPhone, you get the pop-up where it launches iPhoto and it says, hey, do you want to import these photos?
It just doesn't show them.
Huh?
Doesn't show them at all. If I try to import them, it only shows a few of them
Okay.
Where's it showing?
on the computer.
Where?
In iPhoto?
What app?
What apps
In iPhoto?
I guess iPhotos.
Yeah, that's what he was asking, whether or not photos or
I'm
iPhones.
trying to see if I've got it. Maybe I don't have that.
The image,
That's typically what, yeah, go
it
ahead,
usually
Charlie.
starts right away when
Trying to
you
image capture.
image capture, what usually
Image
does it.
capture.
Yeah, it's tedious though, if you gotta use a lot of photos.
No.
See, normally what happens is, if you've got a smartphone and you plug it in, tether it to an iMac, the iMac goes, oh, camera! And it'll launch your photography app, either Photos or iPhoto or Aperture, depending on which one you're using. And then it'll look at what's on the camera, iPhone, smartphone, and it looks at what it has in its library, and it'll say, hey, you got these things that aren't in the library, do you want to import them? And then you just say, yes, import all. Okay. And then when it's done, it says, do you want to delete them from the phone? And I always say, oh, hell no. Okay, camera, whatever. Okay. Now that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to not tether. You don't have a cable. You turn on photo stream. Yeah, photo stream. This is one of these iCloud syncing technologies. Not iCloud Drive, not iCloud Photos, but photo stream. And you say, any picture I take on this mobile device, I want it to, when it's on the same wireless network as my iMac or MacBook, my computer, I want it to put it automatically into the iPhoto library. Okay. And it doesn't store it on the cloud. It's going from one device to the other. Okay, so that's just something to be aware of. So, in your particular instance, I don't think we will get you a resolve today, but what I'm thinking is that maybe iPhoto is not working too well with the newer iOS 12 on your iPhone. And it may be time to move to the dreaded
I think
Photos.
maybe I do.
No.
Well, that's iPhoto. I found that.
Okay, anybody else moving along? Going once, oh, come on. You folks always have stuff that's messing up.
Nobody else wants to talk.
Okay, Dan, and then we'll go to,
I've got a weird thing that's going on with my Apple Mail app, that it will not download new mail
Mhm.
until I delete everything out of the trash.
That's weird.
I don't think we'll solve it today.
Okay, the only thing I can think of is maybe, just maybe, your inbox directories have gotten linked to the wrong place. You know, all that hidden stuff in Unix that we're not supposed to look at, you know, where the inboxes get stored. And maybe, just maybe, you're not in your USR folder anymore.
So, do a preference check?
What I would start with is,
New one.
Yeah, use a connection doctor.
first thing I would do is, you're using the Apple Mail program, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the first thing I would do is I would launch your Apple Mail program, have nothing else running on the computer. And if you've got more than one email account you use on it, have your mailboxes showing. Select your inbox, so it's got all the accounts selected. And then from your mailbox menu all the way at the bottom, do a rebuild. That should force it to rebuild the inboxes. So there's all this hidden stuff, all this indexing stuff that Apple does. Yes.
If you could go up to where it says window and go down to connection doctor.
Sure. Okay, we're still in the Apple Mail program. We're going to the window menu. Okay, I'm in this one a lot. And we're going to go all the way down to where it says connection doctor. Okay, now I've got several email accounts set up here. So, for example, we have this one, Herrick AOL, Herrick AOL. Incoming and outgoing. It's checking those two connections, that it's able to bring stuff in, it's able to send stuff out, and I've got 2 green dots. For this other one, President at TMG Dayton, I got 2 green dots, and if we scroll down, all the other ones have got 2 green dots. So that means that my incoming and outgoing connections are working the way they're supposed to. Now, if you really want to get into it, you click the Show Detail. And we get another window. So what you're seeing up at the top is all the... I mean, this is not for normal people, but you and I can say we're not normal. Okay, we're comfortable with that. But it's sort of like you're the Delphi Oracle and you're cutting open the goat and examining the entrails. You know, the smell, the mess, but you know, somebody's got to do it.
Then you can show the logs too.
Okay, or the other one, actually more helpful for most people, I'm going to tell it, the hide detail, is just show logs. And these are the logs for the various things. I can open those up and examine them, what was going on. Or you could examine them.
So should I do that before rebuild or after?
I just would do the rebuild first. Because quite truthfully, when I was doing mission critical real-time support for people, they could care less the why. They just want it to work. So I have the skill set, the flow charts where we actually find out what's going on, and then I got the ones, do this, it works, it'll break again in a day, but we don't care. It's working for now. The other thing I would do is after you do the rebuild, then I would restart your Mac, holding down the shift bar, the space bar, where it comes up in safe mode, and then you reboot it and it rebuilds all the symbolic links and all that other stuff. Doesn't hurt anything, and it sort of clears the stuff away.
Is that like a preventive maintenance thing you might want to do once in a while?
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't need, all sorts of fancy utilities to clean this stuff up. You just do a safe boot every so often.
Mac Keeper ads.
Okay, if we're talking about Clean My Mac from MacPaw, they're in the Ukraine. They make a good product. I used them for several years. I'm a beta tester. If we're talking about Mac Keeper or Mac Cleaner, They're in the Russian Federation. They are evil. It'll screw up your machine.
So what's the good one?
The good one is from MacPaw, M-A-C-P-A-W. And the other one is MacKeeper. The good one is Clean My Mac from MacPaw. Okay. The other one is like, I'll see these Facebook ads about you for MacKeeper, and I just go, oh, hell no. Boom, boom, Facebook, this is fraud, spam, you know. They lie, it doesn't work. Yes, that company is Zeobit. Zeobit. Okay. The former Prime Minister of the Russian Federation, the one that's Yankel.com, the email folks, he's a part owner of that. The one does the Zeobit. Okay, any other, oh, wait. Yes.
Yeah, okay. This has to do with Apple Watch and iPhone, okay?
Okay.
The, one of the
You
apps.
had to wait for Rick to leave the room. The one person. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, one app on the iPhone I use is reminders. Okay, I set up repeating reminders from day to day.
Okay.
If a reminder comes due and I get a notification about it on the phone, and I go to the app on the phone and I say complete, or I hit the little circle, it turns blue, and it rolls to the next day.
Yeah.
However, if my phone is turned off and one of those reminders comes due, and I get an alert on my watch,
Okay.
and I look at it and I scroll down to where it says completed,
Yeah.
and I hit that instead, then when I go back to my phone at some later point and I look at reminders, that event was rolled 2 days into the future, not just to the next day. So I have to correct that and bring it back a day. Now, I spent 3 days at 2 Apple stores and with Apple Care last week trying to get this thing fixed, including a factory reset of my phone,
Okay.
which was a very painful experience, I can tell you. And I still have the problem after going through all of that. They didn't solve the problem. So it's still happening. And at one point we thought it was fixed, but obviously it's not, because it didn't work this morning properly again. So that's the conundrum. Apple Care and Apple support folks at 2 Apple stores, one in Columbus and one at the Green.
I know
could
Rick
not-
has Apple Watches. He's very
Could not
familiar
fix
with it. I know you haven't. You use Apple Watches. Do we have any other people using Apple Watch? Okay. So Apple Watch people, feel free to jump in. He's got reminders set on his iPhone, reminders set on his watch. If the reminder comes up on the iPhone and he dismisses it, you know, boom, boom, done, it does the rollover to the next day automatically, no problems. If his phone is turned off and he gets the notification on his watch and he, you know, does the, you know, acknowledges the notification, it rolls 2 days into the future.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's what the
Now
Apple
we're doing
people
it
said
twice.
too.
So they reset your phone. Did they reset your watch?
Yeah, well, it was unpaired and repaired as a new watch, just like you're starting from scratch.
Okay.
And you know, I had to repopulate all the apps and all that kind of stuff. That's why I did it at an Apple store, so I could use their Wi-Fi, because
Okay.
I never could have done it at home.
Okay. So, Rick, any thoughts?
No, but I'll think about it.
Okay. Any thoughts? Any other watch people have thoughts?
Use reminders.
Okay.
Yeah, don't use reminders.
Sorry.
Or use another app, a reminders app, if I can find it.
Right now, your SOL
Yeah, right.
up this, but great little thing.
But I can live with it, because I'm not going to do another factory reset. That
I
was
wouldn't do that. You might try using Fantastical, for example,
Right.
uses the reminders app. So you might try the reminders in Fantastical. If you use Fantastical on your phone, you use it on your watch, and it pulls up the reminders, so you can check them off there and see if it works there, just to see if it's the database or if it's just a.
So it has a watch,
It has a watch version. It's really nice.
fantastical.
Fantastical. I can show it to you during the break.
Okay, now this is totally flippant, but perhaps your watch is Buddhist, and it only lives in the now.
Either in the now or in the future.
As far as I know, it's not a time zone issue either, you know, if it was,
Now, some of us chuckled at this, but I have learned when I'm talking to people, and they say, it's not that important, it really doesn't bother me that much. That's when I turn on the active listening, because what I'm really hearing is, this is driving me crazy. And even though it may not be significant to my lifestyle, quality of life, etc., I gotta get this thing fixed. It's like that mosquito in the tent at 2 in the morning. I want that buzzing to stop. Okay. So. Yes, ma'am.
I have two things.
Is this a husband thing, or is this?
No. I'll share if I have one.
Okay.
All right, two things. Number one, I got, when I updated my phone to an 8, I was talked into Hum by Verizon.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought Hum and got it installed and set up, and it was kind of fun. Lost a little privacy, but I thought, you know, what the hell, it's important.
Mm-hmm.
So when we come back from Florida, the battery in my car that the Hum was on was dead. So we did it again. We, you know, charged the battery.
Mm-hmm.
Today I go out and it's dead again. So I'm getting on the Hum website, and there are questions on the, you know, let's ask them about service stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the questions is, does Hum, you know, make your battery go dead? So I'm wondering, at this point, I'm ready to take the Hum device out, and maybe it's because my car can't handle it. It's a pretty old model. So if anyone has any experience with Hum at the break, I'd be interested in talking with them.
What's Hum?
Okay.
Okay, Hum is a location device, $10 a month, and it hooks up right below your steering wheel, I guess, where mechanics plug in their
Connected
computer.
car technology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it shows you like where your cheapest gas is.
Oh, okay.
It shows you what your location is, the health of your car. In
Think
fact,
of-
when we were in Florida, it notified me that my battery was getting low, and, you know, I'm going, what can I do about it? Exactly, exactly. So that's why I'm thinking that even though they won't own up to it, they say it goes into quiet mode when you're not using, when you're parked, but I'm thinking it's still maybe a draw on mine, you know, and that maybe my 98, which I love dearly, still can't handle the new technology.
Take it off.
Two things. Do you have a YouTube account?
Yes,
Do you have a Facebook account?
yes.
Okay. I would do a post on Facebook and on YouTube. I do a search
Oh,
to see if somebody is out there that's posted something about this
I
on
like that.
YouTube. Okay. Be aware, it's YouTube.
Yeah,
There's, you know,
right. Well,
they're-
that's
they're-
excellent.
it's full of human beings.
Yes.
Beware. Okay. And then with Facebook, I would look and see if Hum has a Facebook presence
Okay,
and do a post on their wall
good.
and see if anybody else has done a post on their wall with battery, and then check the next day to see if they deleted your post.
Okay. I'll check that out, but I will say, when I had to
It
call
may not be
like
them, it may be
installation
Facebook,
and stuff,
Facebook.
and we thought we'd change it to the other car, and we went to Florida, we decided not to, that the Hum people have been very, very nice and
Mhm.
helpful online, as opposed to Verizon people who, you know,
Yeah.
seem to screw you around.
How does it actually get its power from the car? Is it a USB cable that you're
No,
plugging?
it's just a plug-in. I think it's a 3-prong plug, just like, if you guys look below your steering wheel, your cars all have those, and that's where mechanics, like when they have their computer, that the
Diagnostic port.
Yeah, they got a.
Okay, because one of the things that I've learned
Yeah,
over the years of working with technology is always check the cable. Sometimes the
Yeah.
device is fine, but the cable that's connecting it has gotten frayed or whatever, and you're not getting the charging.
well, I'll check that too. It's brand new, and, you know, and it also has a Bluetooth speaker, so that you could speak on your phone, you know, without raising your phone. So anyway, thank you for all that. And
So-
number 2,
Yeah.
for reasons that I don't understand, and it's, like you said, it's not that big a deal, but I'm always conscious, even though with 8 I got plenty of space,
And it's
but
not
I'm
really
conscious of
important.
space.
Yeah,
It's not
okay.
really
Yeah,
important.
okay.
But when you call up Safari,
Yep.
I only kept a couple on here. But for some reason, now that I call up Safari,
Mhm.
and I have everything on here. I have all the search engines, I have all the popular, I have all the trust, they're everywhere, and I did not put these on here. They just keep collecting. I can't get rid of them.
Just a second. Go ahead and hit Safari again. Okay, now.
You don't have to take time.
Find the cheapest.
Is that all I have to do?
Okay. What is happening is that it's, all of those web pages that you're seeing are still active in Safari. Okay.
I don't like that.
This happens to me all the time on my iPad. The Safari starts to get real slow. The fix on the tablets is to, when you've got your regular search screen, okay, is to press and hold in that upper right-hand, right-hand corner. And then it says clear all, and then tell it to clear all the tabs.
Select all,
Yeah, select all,
and then I can get rid of everything.
right, and then they're all gone.
Okay.
Because Safari is keeping all of those things in its memory.
Right.
Okay, so this is like you sent your husband to Kroger every weekend for a year, and he's got all of those lists in his head. And he goes into the store, and he goes, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
What is it you press and hold?
Yep, just press and hold that top bar.
Yeah,
But,
in the upper right-hand corner, you'll have where you can tap, and it'll show you all of the tabs that are active. Well, instead of just tapping it, you tap it and hold it, and you get a little pop-up that says, do you want to clear, you know, however many tabs it is.
see, I thought I was doing that. When you click the bottom right, it looks like 2 pages, whatever it is, and you click that, and it will show you which ones you have open, and you can, you know,
Yeah.
but it's not really off.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you
so-
hit the X for each one, and it'll close each
Yeah,
one.
that's the other way.
Well, I did close it each way, but it doesn't take it off the Safari. It only closes it for the moment. Thank you.
Okay. Now, it's different from having bookmarks.
It's still there. It's still there.
That's different than having bookmarks.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you
So,
very
your
much. I
what?
appreciate it.
Was your purse feeling heavier?
Yes, it was.
Because Safari had 200, 300 websites in it. And,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
it's just factoid. If you have more data on your phone, it will be slightly heavier than if you have no data.
Wow. That's not true.
Bill?
We're talking if you're on the atomic level measuring things, it will be.
Bill?
Yes. Okay, sorry. All right. Okay, are we done with help desk? We're done? Okay. One more.
I have a portable drive for backup.
Yep.
That I use with time machine. I've been getting messages that it's not backing up.
Okay.
And they started about a year ago, so I just changed the USB port. So it was all right. The icon does not come up on the screen. So I asked somebody about it, and they said, well, probably the reports are going bad. But I used my iPhone to download my photos, and it worked.
Okay.
But it's not back, I keep getting messages, it's not
Okay.
backing up.
Are you using the same cable to connect your iPhone as you connect the USB drive?
No, there was a
Okay.
cable with the USB drive.
Okay. Cables get, when they go in, the male and the female connectors, okay, you get dirt, you get oxide builds up, so sometimes it's the cable that causes the problem, not the port. So you switch the port and it works?
For a while.
Okay, for a while and then it doesn't. Okay, so chances are you've got some smuts in the port or in the cable.
Oh,
Okay.
so just get another cable.
Okay. The other theory is that Time Machine is forgetting that it's supposed to do stuff with that hard drive. Okay. The way to fix that is you go into your system preferences, you go to Time Machine, and you click Select Disk. What'll happen sometimes, here it's showing the backup drive that it's supposed to use. If you see this drive there and you see it also down here, that means that it's forgotten that that's the same drive.
Then I can close all those.
Okay, so you have to reintroduce them. So it's like being on a Swedish train. You do a lot of, good morning, I'm William Herrick, glad to meet you. Otherwise, people don't talk to you.
But you have to go into system preferences.
System preferences, then to the Time Machine control panel, and then you would click, if it's showing there and here, you would click on the one down here and say, use that disk.
Oh, I see.
Yes, Bill.
You can also connect to it directly by that Time Machine icon in the top menu.
Okay, it will do it also.
If you
there.
click on that, it'll go open Time Machine preferences. It goes right to system preferences.
She doesn't have it on her menu bar.
Oh,
Yeah.
we can fix that.
Yeah.
See the little
Oh.
button in the bottom of the box
No,
there?
no, oh, excuse me. Okay. We're moving ahead. We've got Chuck in the back. Chuck's showing her a whole bunch of stuff there. Okay, raffle time? Raffle time. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. Meeting topic, main presentation, how to change email accounts without losing emails, contacts, or friends. Okay, and presenter information, and if you've got a device that makes noise when it needs your attention, you might want to mute it at this point. I remember what happened 4 years ago, where my phone did it to me, and people laughed at me for like 2 years after that. Okay, moving right ahead. Ta-da! This is what we don't want to have happen when you're through with this process. That everything that people are sending to you gets through to you. So, statement of the problem. You have an old email account that you need to stop using. Can you think of a reason why you might need to stop using an email account?
Spam. Spam.
Okay, spam. Or maybe you got that username when you were 14 something, and maybe it's not appropriate for business settings. Okay. You've got a email account that is with the provider that's maybe going to go away. Okay. These things happen. All right. And you need a new email account that you want to start using. And you don't want to lose any of your emails. Okay. Now, I'm a great fan of Inbox Zero. For most of my email accounts, I do not keep my old mail. However, I have many, many dear friends, customers, family members who use their email system as their filing system. They still have the emails they got from CompuServe. Okay. So for those folks, they want to keep all of those emails. They want to get them over to the new email account. And you don't want to lose any contacts. Now by contacts, I'm not talking about people contacts, I'm talking about your address book, your contact list that's got all those phone numbers and email addresses. Because let's face it, if I needed to send an email to Dan Duncan and I didn't have my contact list, I would not know what to send. Because we don't know this stuff anymore. How many of you don't know your own phone number, your cell phone number? Okay, because we just, we just hit that contact list, oh, yeah, call the wife. And you don't want any lost friends. Okay, in other words, you want people still to be able to contact you via email. So that's the problem statement. So what are we going to cover in this? What email addresses imply about you, future-proofing your email address, data, who's got the data. That's the most important concept I want you to come away with. Then we're going to walk through what that process is, and then we're going to talk about some of the special magic that happens in that process that mere mortals don't want to do themselves, and unfortunately, email providers such as Outlook and Gmail have some tools that will do that stuff. Okay, so at this point, I will stop. Are we all in the same wavelength here? We're all good?
What were the last two entries on the previous slide?
See, he thought I was going to do it off the top of my head. You don't want to, there are two reference items. There are PDFs that will be emailed to you where all of the nitty-gritty innards of how to do some of this stuff if you're going to an Outlook account or a Google Gmail account, the tools they have. I don't have the time today to show you all of those screens. Those two articles have got it. They got great screenshots.
I've got them and I'll distribute them.
Yeah. Okay, so moving right ahead. What do email addresses imply? So, which makes a better first impression? Slobberboy69 at yahoo.com or first name, last name at outlook.com. If you're doing professional stuff, business stuff, Slobberboy69 at Yahoo doesn't cut it anymore. Now, so you have an email account that's associated with Slobberboy69. You can't change that name. That is the email account. The only way to get rid of Slobberboy is to create a new email account and somehow move your stuff from the old one to the new one. Okay, so the username you choose is important. You've already got a username for the old account. When you're choosing one for the new account, you might want to think about, you want something that's going to be bland, logical, non-controversial, etc. But domain names are important too. Domain names. So if I'm at Herrick at AOL.com, the domain name is AOL.com. So, at AOL, at Hotmail, at Prodigy, at Yahoo, you know what they say? They say, hi, I'm from last century. You know? Don't give me that. Okay. But it's true. It's true. Okay, you talk to any of the 20, 30-somethings? Okay, not the folks that are here, but the 20 and 30-somethings, they're going to go, AOL? Are they still working?
It's like area codes in New York City.
All right. So, at Outlook, at Gmail, that says current and modern. Same thing would be for at Mac, at Me, at iCloud. You know, all the Apple email domains. Got it? Okay. Back. All right. And then last but not least, at Proton Mail. That's the one I use for all of my stuff in the Eurozone. That says, this person takes serious privacy security. This is a serious person because your emails are encrypted. The person on the other end has to know the special code to be able to read it. And none of the seven sisters can look at it. Those are intelligence agencies, the seven that are linked up. Okay. So, the other thing you want to do is you want to future-proof your email address. Common situation. Don't use your company or school email accounts for personal use. Why? Okay, that's right. Okay. I made that mistake when I was still working for the newspaper. I had all of these things, online accounts that were linked to my email at the newspaper. Well, when I'm out the door, I don't have access to that email anymore. Yeah. But I get documentation, so I could recreate. But I learned my lesson. So the first thing I said to various people when I was at a retirees function, and I could see current employees of the newspaper, I said, whatever you do, you want to start forwarding all of your ToxOhio.com email to your own Gmail account. So that if anything happens, you still have access to those emails, and you can then see what accounts were associated with that particular account. School emails, if you're no longer matriculated, you graduated, that goes away too. So again, those are email accounts that are not going to be with you in the future. So don't use those for registering your Roku, registering the car you just bought, all the stuff that we do online, Kohl's, your credit cards. Don't use those accounts for it. Another one I suggest is don't use the ISP address, you know, the one you got when you signed up with Spectrum and you get an email address. You signed up with AT&T and you got an email address. Because what happens if you switch internet providers? Okay. Now, I've had people say, oh, Spectrum is really good, or AT&T is really good. I would never switch. But what happens if you move? Okay, you move from Ohio, you're out in North Dakota. They don't have Spectrum out in North Dakota. Okay. They're not going to run a cable to your house out in North Dakota. So you're going to have to switch to something else. So if you have all of these other things associated with that internet service provider's email, you're going to have problems. Okay. Another thing. Do choose an easy-to-remember, sensible account name that you won't forget. You know, capital G, lower h, R, blah, 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 you know, numbers, whatever. It's not a password, folks, okay? It's a username. You want it to be plain, vanilla, and simple. First name, last name, and maybe a number, okay? Though, what I find, a little trick, if you are setting up a new email account and you want it to be your name, try last name, first name. Chances are you won't have to put the, you know, 3-digit number on the end. You may be able to just get it, you know, Duncan Dan at protonmail.com. And then the other one is choose an email provider that'll be around tomorrow. I think it was Bill had mentioned that something about
And SBC Global, and
okay.
they used to be part of Yahoo, but now Yahoo is Verizon, so they're, you know, I kind of untangle them.
Yeah, so he had an AT&T account. He's paying AT&T for internet, but AT&T has Yahoo doing the email services for him until Yahoo gets bought by Verizon. Okay, AT&T, Verizon, hey, aren't they in the same business competitors? Okay. So you have a similar situation with the folks on AOL. AOL has also been bought by Verizon. And this is not gospel, but what I suspect will happen is that further on down the road, AOL will go away, Yahoo will go away, Verizon will have its own email service, and that's all you'll get. And chances are it's going to be linked to your cell phone account. So the free emails, AOL, Yahoo, may be going away in the future. Okay, so what are the ones that will probably be around tomorrow? Apple at iCloud.com, Google at gmail.com, Microsoft at Outlook.com, or your own domain, if you want to set up your own domain. If you're cheap, you go for one of the free email accounts, either from Apple, Microsoft, or Google. Okay? Think about it. Do you think Apple will still be in business in 10 years? I think they will. Will Google be in business in 10 years? I think they will. Microsoft, I think they will still be in business. So, you're good for at least 10 years then. Okay. Now, this is the most important slide in the presentation. Data, data, who's got the data? All right. I can't tell you how many times I'm working with someone on email or connectivity, something, and they think the data is on their device. They don't realize the emails are not on your device. They're on the email server. Your device just lets you look at what's up there. That's why you can collect email from more than one device. And you're seeing the same thing. Your computer's looking at the email server, your phone is looking at the email server, your tablet's looking at the email server, and you see the same thing on all three. Okay. The emails are not on your device. They're up there.
Bill, what about Apple Mail?
It's on the Apple server. Apple server. Yeah, Apple server. Okay. And if it's a Gmail, it's on a Google server. It's Microsoft Mail, it's on a Microsoft server. If it's a Yankee Mail, a Yanku Mail, it's on a Russian server. If it's Proton Mail, it's on a server in Geneva, in a building about 2 blocks away from Soren. And only in that building. But they do secure email. So, it's not on your device. It's up on the server. None of that stuff is on your phone, tablet, desktop, or laptop. It's stored on the provider's web and email servers. So when we're migrating data, we're copying data, we're making copies from the old email account server going to the new email account server. Okay? So if we're going from an AOL to a Gmail, we're making copies of data that's on AOL, Verizon, and we're moving it over copies so that we've now got it on the Google Gmail server. Yep.
Now, if you're looking at recent emails and you move one of your emails into a folder you have on your computer, then it's no longer on the server anymore. It's now on your local machine, right?
Okay. Some of those folders you think are on your local machine are actually folders on the server. Other folders on your local machine are on your local machine. And that's why people run into problems. They put it into a folder on their laptop. Now they can't see it on their phone because it's actually on the device. You want to keep the data up on those servers. I feel like I'm in church. Anyway, you keep the data up on the servers so that all your devices can get to it.
But once you've seen it on one of those devices, you may want to save it for future reference. You don't necessarily want to keep it on the cloud server anymore.
How do you want to save it? That depends, it varies on what a person is all about. Me, I print it on the paper, I 3-hole punch it, it goes in the binder.
That's the last century, Bill.
That's why he's me.
But only very few emails get that. Okay. For the others, what I'll do is I'll print it to a PDF and then I'll throw it onto an external hard drive. But typically I don't keep it on the local machine. Okay. Other people do it other ways. Okay. But I'm telling you that if you take it out of the email system and you put it on the folder on your hard drive, eventually you're going to have where you can't find it. Okay.
the search bar.
All right, so anyway, if you've got that concept down, that the emails are up there, not on your device, then, you know, I'm good for the year. Okay. All right, so what's the process? First, you create the new account. So you've chosen a provider you're going to use. You log on to that provider's with a web browser. Typically what I find is if you're on a Mac and you're going to be creating an Outlook account, use Firefox. If you're on a Mac and you're going to be creating a Gmail account, use Google Chrome. If you're going to be creating another account on some other service provider, Firefox, Google Chrome, Safari, they're all pretty much the same deal. Okay. Step 2, you migrate your contact list from the old to the new account. All right, depending on who you're using as the new provider, you can do it a bunch of different ways. If you're using Outlook or you're using Gmail, you go into the settings for that email account, the new one that you set up, and there are tools that Microsoft provides and that Google provides that'll you tell it what the email account is, the old one, and it'll bring in the addresses. Or you can tell it, bring in the email. So all of the emails that are in the old account get copied and put into the new account. Okay. Now, if you respond to an old email from the new account, the recipient, the person you send it to, is only going to see the new email address. Okay? So another thing to keep in mind is if you're going to start using the new account, just use the new account. So we've covered bringing the contacts in. We've covered bringing the old email in. What if there's new email going into the old account? How do we handle that? It's called forwarding. So sometimes you have to do that from the old email account. You log into the old email account, you go to the preferences, and you tell it that you want it to forward all the emails to the new email account. If you're using Google as your new email account, they have a tool that will let you do that. Bring in the old emails and tell the old email account to forward all the new stuff coming in to the new account. Okay. So we've done migrate any emails you want to preserve from the old to new. Some people, they don't have a whole lot of email coming in, and they don't want to bring in any spam that they had. So what they'll do is they'll manually select what emails they want to bring in. I find that's usually not worth the effort. You end up spending a lot of time doing it. It's simpler to just have everything come in, and then when you see spam messages in the new account, you just delete them. Now remember, the spammer doesn't know about the new email address. They just send everything to the old email address. Okay, so we've migrated our contacts, old emails, and we've got email forwarding set up. Now, this is the one that, okay, inappropriate term, ball buster. This is the ball buster. You change the email address on record at all your other online services like stores, social media sites, online registrations, and so on. All of them. That one you have to do manually. So you log into Kohl's, you log into your account at Kohl's, okay? Not just the website, but you're actually logged in as your account on Kohl's, and you give them the new email address, and you take the old one out. You log into your Apple ID account, and you take out, you say, hey, this is my new email address that I want to have associated with this. This is the one that burns up an incredible amount of time. Okay. Boy. All of them. that can take months. But again, little bit of time. Yes, Chuck?
Is there a way that you can check the user as to what email accounts are moved over? In other words, I've got 4. Can I go in some way and say which one of my contacts are associated with this provider or that provider or the other one? Or are my contacts really intermixed between all 4?
Okay, I got what you're talking about. Okay. So Chuck and I live in the world where we've got more than one email account and we've got social media accounts. So when I look in my addresses, my contacts in my Apple app, I'm seeing my Facebook contacts and my Google contacts and my AOL contacts for all the different email accounts I have. Okay. This process is going to be easier to do if you just ignore all of the other stuff. You're taking the contacts that are associated with one email address and you're duplicating them to the new address. Okay? That's why you're using a web browser. Later on, you add the new email address to your Apple Mail program, and then it sees all those contacts. And it sees all those emails. Okay? Okay, so we've got data's been migrated, and hopefully we've gotten the important stuff, the important store accounts, et cetera, set up, because you don't want to miss your Harbor Freight coupons that come in the email. You want to make sure that that's going to the... Okay. Then you tell your friends and family to start using the new email address. You tell them in 2 ways. One, you hand them like postcards that you've made up, and you say, this is my new email address. You don't say it to them because they won't remember it. You hand it to them where it's printed. Okay. Then what you do is, a couple days later, you send them an email from your new account saying, hey, this is the email that I'm using now. Okay. Don't make the mistake of referencing the old email in any way, shape, or form when you're telling them about your new email account. Okay. I'm telling you, somehow there's something that weird with the human brain. If you say, my old email account was herrick@aol.com, and my new email account is herrick@gmail.com, they'll go, oh, herrick@aol.com. And they're still sending to the old one. If you say, my new email address is herrick@gmail.com, they'll get it, because you gave them one choice. Just one. Now, the next thing, don't cancel your old email account. Leave it alone for a couple months. Now remember, stuff that's going into that is automatically being forwarded to the new one. So you don't have to log into the old one, you just log into the new one, and you can see the stuff that's coming in from the old one. So you monitor that old account for the people or services who haven't switched, okay? And then you remind them from the new account that your email address has changed. Yeah.
When you get an email that's been forwarded, you can tell that it's from that other account.
Yeah. Because the way Outlook handles it, the way that Google handles it, is they've got a folder, if you will, in the inbox that's forwarded from the old. So you can tell what came into the old, what came into the new.
So you still get the same junk mail you had on the old one?
Yeah, yeah. But when you shut the pipeline off, when you eventually do delete that account, or you just stop looking at it, because you know nobody that you care about sends to it anymore, the spammers are still sending it to that account, and you don't see it. So typically I monitor the old account for about 3 months, and at that point, if somebody's still sending it to the old account, I go, you know, the most difficult thing to change is human behavior. And I'm just, you know, if you can't get, after 3 months, if they just still haven't changed over to the new account, maybe it's time to cut them loose. Okay. And again, as I said before, keep the old account active until all the stragglers are using the new address. And as we all know, if you've ever herded cattle, some of the stragglers just never get back to the herd. They end up being that skull next to the riverbank. Okay. Now, I've talked about moving contacts over. Moving, you know, copying, making copies and moving the copies over of emails so that you got all the old emails in the new account. And we talked about forwarding email. Well, as one of my professors used to say, you know, some magic occurs, you know, you've got this huge thing, you know, and then he goes, yeah, and some stuff happens here, and then you end up with this. I'm thinking of a chemistry class. Well, migrating contacts, emails, email forwarding, it can be daunting. I mean, it really can be, I don't know how I'm going to do this, especially if you end up doing it manually. So I recommend that if you're going to create a new email account, that you pick a Gmail account or an Outlook account. Because they've got special tools that will do this for you. Now, we've got 2 articles that are PDFs. They'll get emailed to you along with the presentation. How to change your email address without screwing everything up, and the best way to switch to a new email address. They basically are saying the same things that I've said, but they've got these screenshots. Okay? So they walk you through, they say, if you're moving your stuff from this account to Outlook, you go into your Outlook settings, and here are the tools, and this is how you do it. And they walk you right through it. So that's why I'm including these, and I'm not trying to do that myself. And again, they got great screenshots in there. It's like, you know, each step.
Bill, is this the show details thing?
Hmm?
Is this the show details thing?
Okay, wait a minute. Ah, sorry.
Is this the show details as those 2 references have?
Yeah.
You click on the
Yeah.
button, it says
They show you, you click here, you click on the 3 bars, then you click on here, then you get this screen and you put this in, and they got the arrows and the circles, you know, all the good stuff that people like me need when we do this stuff.
Thank you.
The last one you click is it says call Bill.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Bill, the advantages, disadvantages of using your mail and browser or having an app on your computer, like maybe there's several apps you can download to process.
Thunderbird,
Yeah.
Apple Mail.
Yeah, Apple Mail. It seems like you're
Yeah,
much better off to use it as a browser, but I'm just wondering about that.
Okay, you're using a browser to do this process because you don't want to be confused by all the other email addresses you have. Okay, you want to have one email address on a server, its stuff going to one email address on another server. Okay, so with that said, for the process, you want to be doing webmail. The advantage of using an email client. Okay, so if I'm using a web browser, I can look at one email account at a time. Okay. If I use an email program, I can be looking at my AOL account, my Gmail account, my Proton Mail account, my Juno account, my Yahoo account, my Yankee account, my CompuServe account, my Prodigy account, my Hotmail account, my Outlook account, okay, in one inbox. So one inbox where everything is coming in, I can look at it and I can process it, and when I go to reply to an email, the email program has it so it's replying from the email address the thing was sent to. Okay, that's the main advantage of using an email client. Now with that said, have you ever wondered companies are able to provide free email. How do they do that? Provide it for free.
Advertising.
The dreaded advertising. If I'm using an email client, I don't see the ads. Okay? My email client is talking directly to their mail server. If I do webmail, my web browser talks to their web server, where all the ads, and then it talks to the email server. So I'm seeing advertisements all over the place. They make money from having people see advertisements. So you will get, if you haven't already, at some point you will get the message if you use a program like Apple Mail or you use Outlook in your, let's say, have a Yahoo account. It's insecure. You need to come in and say that, yes, you give permission for, that email program to connect to Yahoo's email server. But be aware, you may be endangering the privacy of your emails because that's insecure. What they're really doing is trying to get you to do everything with webmail so that they get the advertising revenue. Or, even better, have you pay for business email and you also have advertisements on your mail. Okay. Okay, did I time that one too much?
Yeah, good. No.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I like to use mail because it can bring up a Yahoo and a Gmail account at the same time. But I stopped doing that because I think it was Google that when I upgraded or something, anyway, I had to redo it. And Google sends me out a security thing and said it's not a good idea to link all your accounts. So I stopped doing it, even though it's not as, I have to call up Gmail that separately.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, do you support the idea of using the mail account and
Yeah.
linking all your email
If you're
accounts?
using an app like Apple Mail, or you're using a mail, they're called mail clients like Thunderbird, or the mail client from Microsoft called Outlook, they are connecting securely with those mail servers. Trust me, they are connecting securely. Google doesn't want you to do that because you don't see the ads.
Okay,
They're losing revenue.
I see.
Okay? So you're running a store, okay? The customer can get the same thing. You get freebies, right? One, they got to come inside the store and they have to look at all your advertisements. You got to walk past the impulse rack, those special counters there by the cash registers and that. Okay? As opposed to, you can stand outside, pick up the item and walk away. Okay? They want you inside the store.
So they've been lying.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. The other thing that will happen, though, is periodically when companies are having little snip feuds with each other, Apple and Qualcomm, or Apple and Google, Amazon and Google, whatever, they'll change things in how the mail servers work, so that what was working just fine now doesn't work, in which case you delete the account on your mail client and recreate the account, okay? And let the mail client put in all the little bits and bobs, cross the T's, dot the I's, so that they work again. Okay.
Go to George. You talked about, delete the mail from the mail client, like Apple Mail on your computer.
Okay. Remember, where is the email? It's up on the server.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you say, okay, you hit the little minus in Apple Mail, say take out the, herrick@gmail.com. Okay. I'm not removing email from anything. I'm not deleting contacts from anything, because all that stuff's up on the server. All I'm doing is telling that program how it's supposed to talk to that server. So I'm saying, rather than me go in and edit the configuration, why not just let the little mail wizard set it up fresh with the new settings that it's supposed to be, that it's SSL on, and that it's port 547, et cetera, et cetera.
So the Time Warner mail that I have from 1976, that's all up on my, I think it's all on my computer, but it's up there. And I don't think they were going to time, I wasn't in Cleveland in 76.
Yeah,
But that's, for the most part, that's up there,
yeah,
no matter what.
yeah.
And if it stops working on my computer, something's glitched on the
Yeah.
computer, if I delete it from the computer and delete it from the computer and then start it up again,
Yeah.
that all will come up eventually.
Okay, but I'm going to add one thing to the process. Before you do that, you use a web browser to go look at that email client and see that those emails that you think are up there actually are up there. That they're not on your local machine where you said, oh yeah, save a copy. Okay.
But if you saved a copy, you're not, and you delete it from the web browser.
Depending on how you saved it, if you remove the account from the mail client, it may or may not delete the local stuff. It all depends on how it was done and when it was done.
And you can't tell how you've
Yeah,
done
you
it.
can, but it's an individual, you gotta look at it. See, I know you've got university accounts, okay, and they roll their email accounts very, very differently than the mass providers. Let me go to George and then I'll go to Ray.
I have a question about the contacts. I've got an app on my computer that says contacts. Now, is that the contacts that you're talking about when you say email contacts?
Your contact app is doing the same thing that a mail client does. It's looking at the contact list that's on this, like let's say Facebook, and the contacts that are in your Apple account, and the contacts that are in maybe your AOL account or your Roadrunner account.
I don't have it.
Yeah. Yeah, let me just do this real quick. Let me hit an escape here. We don't need the PowerPoint up. So I'm just real quick going to launch contacts.
Yeah, there's contact.
Okay, now,
Where's that at?
okay. You'll notice that I've got my William Herrick at iCloud contacts, and I've got my Rillman at AOL contacts, and my TMG Dayton contacts, and thank God I don't have Facebook linked to this. Okay. Those contacts are on an AOL server and an Apple server. They're not on the local device. When I launch contacts, it looks through the internet and goes up to those things and see if anything's changed. So it shows me, current listings.
Well, I use my contacts for a variety of things that don't really have to do with contacts.
Okay, now, something that I do routinely. Okay, so we're running contacts, the program on the Mac. We go to the File menu, we go to Export, and we say Export Contacts Archive. What it does is it goes out, takes all that stuff that's there, brings it in, creates a file, saves it on your computer. So here I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell it to go ahead and save it. I'm going to tell it to save it on my desktop.
I need to get
That file now has a copy of all the contacts from all those different email accounts.
Wow. Well,
Now, if I want to be really slick, I then go back in and go File, Export, Export a B card. Oh, excuse me. First I need to select all contacts first, sorry. It's only going to save what I've had selected. and say export vCard. vCard stands for Virtual Business Card. Okay, it was a format invented by Microsoft. So now I've got a file on my computer, and it's got all of that contact information for all of those people. And in this case, let me go ahead and tell it to save it on my desktop. Okay. So if I double click that, I can at any point take that file, take it to another Mac or PC, double click it, it'll then take all those contacts and put them into the local address book, the local machine.
Okay, well, my contacts file has got notes and
Yep.
other things.
Yep. Mine has that and pictures, because sometimes I forget
That's on,
pieces.
yeah, right. So that's all on somebody's server.
Yeah. Okay, now you know why I'm not in favor of this whole iCloud thing. What happens if you don't have an internet connection? But you're going to be dealing with the contacts that you saw the last time you connected to the internet. But it won't be whatever the latest and greatest is. If somebody has changed, something up there. Remember, if you're using Facebook contacts,
And I don't have Facebook.
yeah, remember, you don't control those. Those are the contacts that the people have set up on Facebook. Okay, yeah.
I have a contact group of an organization that are 50-some contacts. I have them both in AOL, but I'm trying to move them to a Gmail, particular Gmail account. But
Let me just, let's see, do I want to import 1,466 cards? I'm gonna
No.
say no. Okay. Okay, so you got an AOL email account.
yeah,
So what you would do, just real quick, rather than do it in person, you log into AOL with a web browser, okay?
yeah,
You're logged in, you click on your contacts.
yeah.
In there, you've got a thing where you can
I have
click
that.
on the box
Yeah, and I
to
have
select everybody.
Well, yeah, it's in a group in AOL. In other words, there's one group of contacts on it.
Yeah.
It's not everybody.
Okay, let me just real quick here. Okay, let me log in. Let's see if I can remember the password. And hopefully I still have the password. Don't save that just in case I was wrong. Okay, I've now logged into AOL.com. I'm going to go full screen here. All right, so then over here I click on mail, hey, get me into mail. And let's see, I don't want
Bill,
that.
slide
I
to
want
your right,
mail,
please.
mail. Excuse me
Bill,
Yeah.
slide to your right.
here. To my
You're in the
right.
screen. You're in the screen.
Your body turns.
Your body.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Just go back here, I'll take you.
Oh, come on now, screen share. Okay, so I'm gonna click on mail. Hello. You wanna show me all your ads and stories first? Come on. There we go. All right, so now it's loading my mailbox. Now, what's going on here is my computer is talking to their web server, which is then talking to their mail server. So we got 3 different computers involved here.
Wow.
And it's loading slow as mud today.
It's a mess.
Hello, come on, just load it. Thank you. Okay,
Okay.
don't allow. All right, now, I want to work with contacts. I don't want to be looking at the inbox or any of that stuff. So you've got, right here, contacts. Now, you've got a group of people that you've created, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so, in this case, let's say I just want these first 3 people. We'll pretend that they're the group. All right, so I've selected the people I want, the 50 that you want. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go to where it says more. You know, you got new contact, new list, delete, print, and then there's more, and you do export. And then it says, how do you want to save it? Do you want to save it as a CSV, a text file, or an LDIF? Just take the one that they already gave you, CSV. Then it's going to say, okay, what do you want Firefox to do with this? And you say, hey, I want to save it on my, computer. Okay, so now you've got a copy of those 50 people on your computer. Log out of AOL. Oh, come on, sign me out. Then what you do is, gmail.com. I should be using Google Chrome for this. Okay, sign in. So now you've got a copy of the contact information on your computer, because you did an export to CSV. And this is another reason why I use an email client, because that way I don't have to remember all of the account names and passwords are already logged in. Here, I hope I didn't fumble finger it. Password. And I say, hey, don't save. So I've logged in. Okay, so now, yeah. Okay, so now I'm in Gmail. So that's your Google account. And what I want is, okay.
A little subtext.
Where are my contacts?
Is it more?
Yeah, I think it's more. I keep hiding stuff. And no, it's not there either. Okay, so anyway, somewhere on my Gmail, I've got my contact list, my address list.
It's,
So anyway, what you would do is you find those contacts.
yeah.
Okay, and then you're going to look for that more thing, and you're going to say import.
Yeah.
And it's going to say, where is that file? I saved it on my desktop. You point it to it. It sucks it in, puts it in the contacts up there.
So if you go into the your Gmail account, you want to, you have all these different groups of people, so
Yeah.
you have to open up that subgroup to put the contacts in there. In other words,
What you would do is you create a new group on your Gmail account and say, import these people into it.
okay,
Okay. I'm thinking maybe we should do one just on how to do that stuff. Presentation, just on how to do that stuff.
okay.
There seemed to be some interest. All right. Again, I thank you all for your patience. It seems like we always have the question, critical question that requires a lot of time right at the very end of the program. But again, I appreciate your patience and letting me help you.